We need more trees. Why do we need more trees? Because the earth is little. I won't even lie. When I was young, I used to think the earth was so big. But I mean, everything was so big when I was young. A young person can't make the connections between the seed inside the fruit that made the tree. Nor can a child understand that a cardinal nests in a tree near its food and water. How could a child make a connection of a home, food, and water when it doesn't even provide those things for itself? When you disturb the dirt, you find things that live in the dirt. And of course, I found something that lives in the dirt. Something that some of you may find interesting. I'll give you a minute to post in the comments what you think this is, and then I'll tell you in another minute. If you don't think the world is so small, then tell me how come the news shows things that are happening halfway around the world? How come when the sands blow off the Sahara Desert, it creates the red sunsets in my skies? How come those same sands fertilize many parts of the Amazon rainforest? How come much of that forest produces many of the things we need? I just am using that as a reference so I can relate that to wildlife and why every little thing we do to improve the ecosystems we coexist in can make a huge difference. I watch so many YouTubers go out of their way to disturb nature in order to find wildlife and have an encounter. That's not my motto at all, or my metaphors, or my motivation. I literally just do what I know how to do, which is be an arborist, a person that takes care of trees. And when an encounter comes to me, I capitalize on it. I don't waste a single second. I don't dilly-dally around hoping for a specific encounter when there's so many encounters that I should be capitalizing on. You may wonder what I'm doing here. I'm creating the foundation for our new greenhouse. Yeah, we're building a greenhouse because, like I said before, we need more trees. And why do we need more trees? Because the earth is little. And when I speak of little, how could I forget this little old thing that I found here? What is it? Did you think about it? It's a snake, a true snake. Not a legless lizard, a snake. And before he burrows, I do want to show you how you know the difference in a snake and a lizard. Snakes don't have ear holes or scales that protect the ears. Lizards have ears. Lizards have tails. Well, worm, lizards, snakes have tails that can be shed. Whereas this has a modified tail to mimic its head to confuse its predators and look more like its counterpart, the worm. But that's it, just an amphisbaenian, nothing major here. He's gonna let him burrow back down in the soil, and if you don't see these too often, let me know. I just want to see what y'all's opinion is. I just happened to see one because we were digging out here. Details do matter, and even though I've lived in Florida my whole life, I still miss some of the details. It can be difficult to keep track of everything. I mean, there's 50 snakes in Florida. Snakes, lizards, skinks, salamanders, newts, you name it. Shiny snakes and slimy eels. Misconceptions and misidentifications left and right. And for the untrained eye, it can be difficult for the average person to differentiate. Upon first glance, it would be hard to believe that this creature doesn't fit into any of these categories. If I said worm snake, I'm sure you could imagine what the creature would look like. I'm also sure you would classify such a creature as either a worm or a snake. However, this organism is known as the worm lizard, or a thunderworm. And even though it's called these names, this animal is not a snake, lizard, worm, eel, salamander, caterpillar, slug, or any other creature you've been taught. It's the same for me in all my years here in Florida. This species is the only member in its family. That's right, the only extant member of its family in taxonomical classification. Well, what is it? It is in fact an amphisbaenian, and it is none of the other organisms for the same reason we are not classified as monkeys. We are just too different. Oh, and we cannot breed with them either. Just like the amphisbaenian cannot breed with any of the before mentioned creatures. It's not a true snake, it's not a true lizard, it's not a worm, it's an amphisbaenid. It's the only extant member of the family amphisbaenid. That makes this species one of a kind.
Alex taking over for Rob.
Yeah. That's how it will go down in history for sure. Wait, today's Wednesday. It must be the opposite day. Well, that really wore me out right there. 3 days later on another project, I found this snake. A true snake. Don't blink, you'll miss it. Now, typically, perfectly round holes like this are done by squirrels, whether it be flying squirrels or gray squirrels. I saw a gray squirrel peek his head, but I didn't get a good video of it. These termites are doing like a nuptial flight. Well, I don't think that's what they call it because they're not ants, but these birds keep flying in and they're just, as these termites are flying away, the birds are scooping up quite a few of them. Pretty cool. Look at that bird just eating all those termites. And that's like a National Geographic quality event. And I would get a close-up of those termites, but I'm not going to disturb this process. I'm going to let nature do its thing.
What has ever accomplished, at least not phylum.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 8, 9, 20. Sometimes letting nature do its own thing is what's best. However, that is not always the case. Sometimes there's things we humans need to do in order to preserve nature and actually ultimately protect ourselves from ourselves. Humans could have easily eradicated pretty much all of the American alligators, but because of conservation efforts, we were able to bring them back from the brink of extinction. And this goes to show the same story with the American bison. Had we not stepped in and started bringing back their territories, their ranges, and spreading out their populations to allow them to range, graze, and be exposed to different climates and environments and circumstances, as well as being genetically and reproductively isolated, then the diversity that the bisons really need might have been minimized, and therefore the population could have been at even greater risk. I guess what I'm saying is don't ever underestimate the power of one individual, and always do your best to preserve and help out as many people, animals, and plants as you possibly can, because this is a small place and we only have one Earth, so all those little things help make it a better one. I hope you enjoyed this content. I really liked making it, so we'll see you next time in the great outdoors. Peace.